Start from the very beginning. You started making music at the age of 15, more or less, and with Fridge band. So I would like to know which were your biggest listenings and influences as a boy in the early 90s, living in London and going to Elliott School.
I guess I started playing guitar when I was at school, like learning to play guitar, and I immediately just started checking out like Jimi Hendrix, because everyone's like, he's the best guitar player. So I started listening to that, and I really got into that for a while, and listening to kind of like classic rock and stuff. And then my dad had a big music collection, so I'd hear a lot of like really good soul music and jazz and folk music. Like I was a teenager, I'd hear everything from Otis Redding to Townes Van Zandt or whatever, and as a teenager, so I was getting a good kind of musical education from that. And then I was like 14 when like grunge happened and everything, you know, like I think the first concert I went to without my parents was Mudhoney.
Wow.
I went to see that. Like,
we all appreciate it.
Yeah, I went to see, I saw everything. I just went to see all the bands and was really into it and stuff. And I think when we were in Fridge, this whole kind of post-rock movement now, like Mogwai just started up and Tortoise were playing in the UK and all this. And I think that there was this feeling, there was an idea to make music that had no boundaries of genre, you know, like the idea was to, you know, you can make music where songs are 20 minutes and there's totally different instruments and, you know, you're not bound to, and I think that really appealed to me because of the wide variety of music I listened to.
I've tried to find it out, but I couldn't find an answer, so I'm gonna tell you. What's the meaning of Four Tet?
Oh, well, it's so stupid. Like when I did the first record, I never even imagined doing more than one record, you know, like one 12-inch. And it was supposed to be a kind of tribute to these sort of European avant-garde jazz records and things I was buying at the time. So with Four Tet was like quartet. And I've got a European jazz record that's called Four Tet as well. And I was just like, okay, you know, this something will fit in with that. But then obviously the project turned into a massive thing, and now people refer to it as though it's my name, you know.
Which was the atmosphere that you wanted to create and you were looking for in your last record, in There Is Love in You. So what were you looking, the atmosphere and the ideas that the new ideas this time?
Okay. Well, I think the last Four Tet album, Everything Ecstatic, was very much about kind of like, it was about the ecstatic, about people taking themselves to the like furthest extreme kind of life experience through music. You know, I was thinking people making music to, I don't know, rejoice or whatever, or freak out, like, and about, you know, intensity in music, Whereas There Is Love in You is more about escaping through music. I think it's more built into, it's more influenced by like club music, house music and stuff, and it's more about hearing music in a very dark room, you know, with your eyes closed and you being completely lost in it, you know, in it. Let's
talk about your collaboration with Steve Wright, because he was a great drummer, and I suppose that he has influenced you in your record. But which are the most important teachings that he has left to you? He said that you were a musical soulmate already in the interview, so it's very...
well, he was like an amazing musician to work with, just from a technical perspective, you know, like he was absolute master of his instrument and a master of kind of composition and dynamics and things like that. And, to work with him, I learned so much about rhythm and dynamics and like, you know, making complete amazing pieces of music sort of in real time. You know, he was so good at that. So yeah, I learned a lot from that, and just to play in a situation like that with such a good musician, especially doing a lot of improvised music. You know,
you were very, there was a kind of symbiotic. I saw some videos, you playing together.
Yeah, we were really connected through what we were doing, and it was it had an enormous effect on me, I think. We can't go in the CDs. CDs are rubbish.
Okay. what about club culture? Have you experienced it as an audience where you were in your 20s during the 90s in London? And what's on the other side, being a DJ? So which music do you play, and which are your best, the venues you like most, you prefer?
I've had a weird experience with kind of club culture, because in the late 90s and beginning of the 2000s, I'd never been to clubs very. I was buying loads of dance music, but for me, all that music was about listening to it very intensely. You know, like
in your room, dark room.
I'd buy these records and I'd listen to them as though they were like, you know, very intricate pieces of music. You know, but then I was getting booked to DJ all over the place. So, you know, my first time in loads of the big clubs in London and stuff was actually to go and DJ. Okay. So I just get booked to do this, and at that time the DJing thing was just for fun, really. And the first time I'd ever even been on 2 turntables was in a big club. You know, I'd never even like tried it out.
You just mentioned that you bought records just for listening. So tell me about your record collection. Which records do you buy most, and which is your favorite record shops or places where you buy records? London or everywhere else?
I just had an amazing record shopping experience like a week or so ago in New York at the WFMU Record Fair, which is New York, I guess the biggest record fair in New York every year, and I bought amazing records there. I was totally lucky enough to be there. I bought as much as I could carry, pretty much. My arms were like full at the end and I was, for me, I want to come into a record shop and it's not that I've got some list of things I'm looking for everywhere. It's more like I want to buy something that I've never seen or never heard anywhere. And there's a lot of Italian records I'm looking for. So,
really? Yeah. Italian music?
Yeah, Italian music. Yeah. Okay. Especially the sort of minimal classical composers from the 70s in Italy. They're incredible, and there's a lot of Italian kind of like progressive, experimental jazz stuff that's really. They're so expensive, Italian records.
In an early interview, you said that your equipment was very simple and you weren't interested in technology in itself. But it was 2003. What about now? How do you work in your studio? And
still the same setup, probably as 2003. Yeah. I kind of every now and then I'll buy something. Everybody will be like, "Oh, you've got to try out this new drum machine or whatever," and I might be like, "Okay, I'll give it a go." But I buy these things, I hardly touch them. I got asked to do like the new Linkin Park single. I got asked to do like, I'm not going to remix Linkin Park, you know. Like, it's just.
And what about the 3 bands, the new bands that you like most?
New bands. Bands are shit. I'm not really into any bands.
Or artists in general. Artists in general.
For me, that's the thing that really gets on my nerves. Is the like kind of the indie rock scene. For me, that is just like. I feel like everybody's like, "Oh, have you heard this new band?" You know, it's just like another kind of like American guitar
We're gonna cut this one because
okay.
What about your live?
No, it's different every night. Like, very important to me that we were talking about the influence of working with someone like Steve the other day and everything. But it's been since before I met him. The idea for me is that I hate this kind of way nowadays. But I feel like it's a bad thing at the moment where people put out an album and then they go on tour and the audience expects the tour to be some kind of perfect recreation of the album every night.
What's next for you?
I think next is to try and work that out. I think.